We are kicking off our Gemini for Google Workspace session today, and we have a huge list of attendees. Thank you all so much for joining. My name is Evan Larson, and I am a Google Workspace specialist that is specifically dedicated to Google Public Sector. Joining me today, I also have Goldie Aurora, who is a customer engineer for Google Public Sector as well, dedicated to Workspace. So we're super excited that Goldie's joining us to give us some amazing demos of Gemini today, and we are going to begin the session with a presentation to get everyone on the same page, since we have a lot of folks joining us today. And so just some housekeeping. This is all public information, so we are going to be sharing everything that is available for you to research on your own. So nothing is NDA here today, so don't need to worry about that. And then, as mentioned before, just hold all your questions to the end, or please use that Q&A tool in the Google Meet. And with that, I am going to pass, one more disclaimer is all the features that we're showing today, your Workspace administrators may or may not have them enabled. And so if you are kind of testing on your own and see that possibly you don't have something that we are showing you, then absolutely reach out to your Workspace administrator and get a better understanding of your individual user policies. So with that, now I'm going to pass to Goldie.
Thank you, Evan. Hey, everyone. Nice to see some familiar faces. This is the first time. My name is Goldie Aurora. I'm a Google Workspace customer engineer. And we have a jam-packed session today where we will be showing some of the demonstrations where you can learn how you can use Gemini as in your IT profession day-to-day, and leverage it to save time and be more productive. So I understand you and I, we both are IT professionals, and we love to see and show demos than talking about slides. But when we were going through the list of attendees, we observed that some of you are just starting your AI or generative AI journey. So we'll just show and talk about a few slides just to make sure that everybody is on the same page, and then we'll jump right into those impactful demos for you. So with that, let me share my screen. Hopefully you should be able to see it now. And attention span today is very short, and your readiness to invest 1 hour with us says a lot. So we will make sure that though you see some stats here that organizations who are leveraging generative AI and Gemini are saving a lot of time in their day-to-day, but it will be more clear when we start to show you some of the impactful demos today. So as you might have witnessed by now, that AI is no longer like a futuristic fantasy. It's here, it's powerful, and it's really transforming the way we work in our day-to-day. So the question today is not whether or not to leverage it, but rather when should we start leveraging it? And people on this call, you belong to technology professions, so you are like a front gate to let your audience and your users within your organization start leveraging this AI, and it becomes even more important for you. So when I talk to customers every single day as part of my role at Google, I've seen some users, leveraging Gemini to be more productive, providing us feedback, asking for more features. And I've also spoken with users who wanted to know, how to turn off Gemini because they want to get suggestions from it. So we have seen both the sides. So I do understand that every organization does start at their own pace and time, but the good news is, as you, as an IT team, can control when to start leveraging Gemini within your Google Workspace. The sooner the better, for sure. So just to start with, let's cover the ground a bit, understanding what exactly is generative AI, at least in a nutshell. So when you think about programming, which you probably think about something like on the left. So for the first few decades of computers, this is pretty much how it worked, using kind of handcrafted rules. But the real world is a lot messier and more kind of complex, and can't really be represented this way. And that's why we all got excited when neural networks started being able to take some of that messier pattern recognition task. So for example, if you want a computer recognize what cats are, you gather a lot of examples of pictures of things like cats, and it learns to recognize those patterns of pixels. But this is still a pretty kind of narrow approach, learning about specific tasks and concepts. But over the last few years, generative AI models like Gemini have really gotten us excited because it's a different approach where you feed in a lot of text into a model. And when I say a lot of text, you're talking about trillion plus words, which equates to 1.6 million average size books. And then once it learns, it can produce text and image and code and audio and video for you. And that's what we will show within a few minutes. But there are some well-known limitations as well, which as an IT team, you should be aware of because you would be acting as a front to the audience inside your organization. So one of that limitations is hallucination, where essentially when model is responding inaccurately with some sort of confidence. Though we have been working hard to minimize them, but please be aware that these can sometimes be reduced, but are very difficult to eliminate. So hence we request to you that when you leverage Gemini and you think that it did that, please leverage our feedback options to provide us feedback so we can make it better for everyone. Now, I don't know who came up with this technical jargon called prompt, and to make it even worse, they say now prompt engineering. Essentially, what I think is when you're talking to somebody who has expertise in some profession, maybe let's say your doctor or your tax consultant, you need to give them enough context to help you out, right? So if you go to an accountant and say, help me save taxes, I mean, unless you're moving back to US after spending some time or years outside, and you just want to be a refresh on the latest tech saving, it's okay. But otherwise, it's a very vague prompt, right? So what if you can add some more context to it to make it specific, right? There is nothing called prompt engineering. Essentially, the more context you give it to any human being that you want to leverage their knowledge for, the better it is, right? So if you look at the right one, which is pretty specific, if you give these two questions to any friend, of course, they will be in a better position to provide you their response in a better way if you go with the specific response. So that's what essentially prompt engineering is. Just give more context on what you're trying the model to give you. Now, Gemini is everywhere within Google too. So sometimes it might get a bit confusing. And because you belong to IT, I just wanted to put the slide to help you understand the differences. So whenever you are leveraging generative AI to do something custom, maybe you want to build an application internally that does something very custom based on your needs. That's where you will be leveraging Gemini on the Google Cloud side. So things like, developing your custom machine learning or leveraging agent space, etc. That's on the Google Cloud side. However, the focus on today's session is Google Workspace, where you get AI built in the form of Notebook LM and Gemini app and Gemini for Google Workspace, and we'll talk about that in details in a second. But one thing that you might be questioned when you start to roll out Gemini internally is, well, we are going to put our proprietary data. How secure is it? And rest assured that even as part of the contract itself, this is your data. You own it. We are just hosting it just like you host a website. You can take your data anyway, anytime you want. You are in control. You decide who should have access to Gemini, who shouldn't, in which capacity. And we can also help you stay compliant when you're using Gemini, including some of the major compliances like SOC 1, 2, and 3, HIPAA, and the recent announcement that it is now FedRAMP High compliant as well. Okay, now let's move towards the demos. But before that, I hope you would agree that the role of IT, especially in the public sector, is kind of undergoing a profound evolution where my apologies, let's take the questions at the end because we have limited time and a lot of content. So Nicholas, wait
No,
for it.
I'm gonna jump in. So I'm the deputy CIO for ETS, and I own the Google Workspace for the state of Wyoming. So one thing I want to key on that you said that is a hot topic within the state of Wyoming is the turning off, turning on of Gemini and its features. Within our workspace, that is not possible. Okay. It is turned on, and we're leveraging it, and we're doing it within the guardrails and doing it in a safe manner like you're talking about. Okay. Does that make sense?
Well, yep. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. So as you said, today leading IT teams are really defined by their ability to contribute across these three verticals, such as learn and innovate. So learning new technologies like Gemini, and more importantly, finding ways to apply them effectively in their agencies, and expertise to architect and implement these solutions that meet your agency's needs. And finally, most important is in governing them and optimizing them for your digital environment. So when we were looking for demos, we thought we should cover these three pillars because these truly represent the kind of expanded and extended and strategic role of IT, which is not limited to just managing devices and controls, etc. So with that, let's jump towards the demos, and let us show you some of these in action. So we'll first do the demo, which is more towards learn and innovate with Gemini, especially with Gemini LM. Now think of a scenario where you as an IT professional is tasked, and it's essentially is to roll out the artificial intelligence tools like Gemini in your organization. Now before you move towards that, because you are acting as a front line, you need to learn and understand those concepts so you can then extend that knowledge to the audience within your organization. And that's where you can leverage Notebook LM. And if you look at very fundamental of the learning, regardless of what you learn, one side you have some sources, some literature in some shape or form. And on the other side, you're trying to gain insights from it so you can make it applicable practically. And that's where the processing happens, where Notebook LM can help you learn that easily. And for that, let me switch to Notebook LM, which you can access as part of your Google Workspace subscription by just going to notebooklm.google.com. And once you get here, you can click on Create New, and you can create a new notebook, and you can upload your literature. We recently also launched a feature where you can, discover sources from web. So you can just type in, let's say LLM, and submit, and it will help you explore the sources which it can leverage. But for now, let's say I have already prepared some of the sources. So I can click upload a source, which essentially means literature. And that literature can be in different formats. It can be Google Docs, slides, a web page, or a YouTube video, or even a pasted text. So I'll click on choose file, and I've selected a few files for this demo. And first, I will upload NVIDIA provided this LLM book, which shows the basics of LLMs, because this is what I need to understand before I roll it out to our audience. So then I'll go and ask a question about this specific PDF. So I'll say, please explain LLM to me in plain English, use analogy if required so that I can understand it better, because that's the whole purpose of learning, is to understand the concepts. And it came back to me using that analogy so that I can understand it at the basic fundamental level. Now, I need to go a bit deep into it because, of course, I'll be acting as frontline. So I'll simply say, how does it work behind the scenes to understand, the technical side of it. And it will come back with some technical and detailed implementation. And what you see here is that, you are getting the snippets of where exactly it is grounding that information from. And you can click on it, you can read about it. But these literatures can come in many shape and form. So when I was searching for this demo preparation today, I came across
Thank
this
you.
video, which is by a professor, which talks about the ethics in artificial intelligence. And I thought this might be a good one to make part of this demo. And if you look at it, this is 32 minutes video. And I want to also leverage this as the literature source. So I'll click on add a source, click on YouTube video, and I will simply put the URL of the video, and it should be ready in a minute. Now I can ask question about this specific source. So I'll simply ask Notebook LM, please summarize the AI ethics by Professor Russell in 5 bullet points. Okay. So as you see how it's helping me grasp the concept by just asking it back and forth follow-up questions with my sources. But what makes it powerful is the capacity and capability to add lots of sources. To be specific, you can add up to 300 sources to one notebook. So now I will add more sources to it. I will add the NIST, AI secure framework. Plus, I will also add governance and AI use of artificial intelligence by the government. So I'll open those, and they should be ready to be leveraged in a few minutes. Okay. But in the meantime, we all learn in different shape and form. So let's say if I need to do something specific in some other language, I can simply say, explain that to me in Spanish, these 5 bullet points. And now it's not like a robotic translation. It understood the context, and now it's explaining that to me in Spanish itself. Now I have more resources here, and I can create a study guide for me so that I know what is important, what are the themes, and what I should be learning by just clicking on this study guide. And now I have the study guide, which shows what I should be learning. I will click on this generate deep dive conversation, and it will take some time, so we'll come back to it and explain that. But essentially, in the meantime, let's say I need to ask some questions which would leverage all of these, let's say 4, 5, or 300 resources to provide me some insights. So I'll say, what guidance should we follow regarding the development and implementation of AI in public sector? And now it's leveraging these multiple documents to provide me those insights. All right, and you can also, let's say if you need to present something as a front line, you can also create a briefing doc. So it will take all of your resources and create a briefing doc for you, which you can then leverage to present to your management or internal audience. Similarly, you can generate a frequently asked questions out of it. And if your sources has some sort of timeline events, you can also generate a timeline. But now, let's say this is working. I understand the concept, but I shouldn't be stopping here. Ideally, I should take it a step further and share that with my organization. So for that, I will click on share here, and I have a group which is called all at my domain, which is all of our users, and it can be a subset as well if you want that. And here I can decide that what should be their role. I do not want to share the full notebook. Rather, I want to share a resource which will be acting as a chat only, so that they can also understand everything about LLM. And you can preview it or preview that chat app right here. And now assume that your organization audience is asking these questions on these chats, and you can get analytics about that. Okay, so this is how you can learn and share with others. And very soon you will see the audio overview popping up here, but seems to taking a bit of time. So at this time, I want to take you to another demo, which is more towards architecting and implementing with Gemini. Because today, IT's role is not just traditionally turning off and on some features in the product and then that's it, but rather make this more strategic where you make sure that the investment that's gone into IT or these softwares are well invested. You can do that by sharing and making sure that your organization is adopting well, which means coming up with core narrative or making sure that everybody has access to it and it's multi-model so that it suits different kind of learning experiences. And for that, we will go to and it seems this came up, so I'll just let you listen to this audio to see how interactive it is.
Okay, so today we're diving headfirst into something that's pretty huge, actually.
Oh yeah, this is a big one.
The U.S. government just dropped this.
Right, so this is how you can make your learning interactive. You can just download it and take it somewhere. And as you see, this does not sound like
Brand
robotic.
new memo, M2410, and it's basically.
And we recently launched this interactive mode, and Evan and my manager both said, do not demo the beta features in the webinar, but I'll take a chance. If it does not work, it remains just here on this call. But if it does, feel free to share it with anybody. Okay, so I'll click on interactive mode, and I will now become part of this podcast. It might seem a small thing, but if you just try to understand it, it's really deep where I'm becoming part of this podcast. So let me click on that. Okay, so I'll play the audio.
So today we're diving headfirst into something that's pretty huge, actually.
Oh yeah.
Hey there. Want to share your thoughts on this?
Yeah, apologies, you keep mentioning AI, but what does it stand for exactly?
Oh, that's a great question. It stands for artificial intelligence.
Yeah, thanks for chiming in. Sometimes we get a little ahead of ourselves.
So when we say AI, we're talking.
Right, so just imagine how powerful where you have the resources became an audio overview, and then you can chat with that overview when you're driving or you don't want to read the text. It becomes very powerful. So now with that, let's switch the gears a bit and let's go to Gemini, which you can access by just simply typing gemini.google.com. And now, because we need to prepare some material, because our job is not just to turn on Gemini, but also making sure that our users are well equipped to leverage it in their day-to-day. So for that, we want to do something about the Notebook LM. We want to make a very good resource out of Gemini. And because we need like a detailed resource, we can click on this advanced here where we can choose the models, and we will go with deep research. Now, deep research essentially is when you're trying to do something very deep in a specific topic, okay? And I have this prompt, and which essentially says create a dedicated resource for Notebook LM, explain its purpose, and cover some of these elements like introduction, how it's beneficial, and so on. And what deep research will do here is, just like a researcher, it will come back to me with a plan. And its plan says that I will do these 6 things. If I need to tweak it, I can, of course, click on Edit and tweak the plan, and then click on Start Research. And at this time, it is really going to search engine searching public resources, and if you click on show thinking, it will show what exactly it's thinking, just like a human. And then it's researching these websites and will keep adding more, and it will come back with that one research doc about Notebook LM. Because it's going to take some time, what we will do now is let's take another approach, and let's create just a 2 or 3 pager of Notebook LM, because we can then share it with maybe our executives and users. So in the meantime, deep research keeps on working. I'll just say create a document, give it a title, and come back with just 2 or 3 pages explaining benefits, and this is where we can use Canvas. And sometimes we get asked, what is the difference between just chatting back and forth within Gemini or clicking the Canvas? Now think of it as a static and dynamic context. So if you're asking somebody, hey, what's the time, or how is the weather outside, how many degrees, you expect one static response. You may ask for follow-up questions, but within the response that they give you, you don't have anything to add or change. But if you take anything which is dynamic, which you might need to change, such as write a blog post on how to check weather in Google Gemini, this is something Gemini will get back to you. You might need to edit it, change it, and that's where you use Canvas, where you and Gemini both can leverage it. So I'll select Canvas and click on Submit. Okay, and you can see it's thinking, right? And the Canvas open, and you can see what Gemini is doing. The benefit of using Canvas here is that you can change something very specific. Let's say if I want to take this and I can change from heading and do something with it. I can change the length or tone, or I can suggest edits to it. If I do not like something, let's say if I do not like this word, I can ask Gemini to come up with suggestion, or I can remove it just like you do in Google Doc. Okay, so our two-pager is now ready, and but because we are in public sector, so we need to make sure that it's being reviewed by our marketing team. Everybody gets to collaborate to it. I will click on Export to Google Docs to take it to Google Docs, and let me share that Google Docs tab with you, which is where this came in. Okay, so it looks good, but let's make it a bit better by adding AI summary to it. So if anybody coming to this should be able to understand what is this document all about. And for that, I will just use the building block and I'll say AI, and you will see AI summary, which will add a nice short and sweet, concise summary at the top so that anybody can understand the context. If the document change, I can simply click on refresh to refresh the summary. Okay, but let's also give it some more flavor. We can add, we can do pageless. Okay, and now we can add the cover image to it, and Gemini can help creating that specific image. So for creating this, maybe we can say, create an image of a notebook with Google logo, and it will come back with an image. Okay, now it may take a few seconds to come back. But in the meantime, what I can show you, it's right here. So I can select the one that I like. I think this one looks good, so I'll just keep it there. Now you can add images anywhere. So maybe here, when I'm talking about the key benefits like organizing the content, etc., maybe I want to add another image, and I can say image, and help me create an image. And let's make it a bit funny. I have a golden retriever whom we got it when he was 4 weeks, and now he's almost 4 years. So I'll say, please create an image of a few golden retrievers wearing glasses, showing, organizing books in modern library. Okay, and I'll click on create, and it will understand the context, and hopefully it's a live demo. We'll come back with that kind of image, which I can insert. I understand you might not be doing that when you share that with your users, but just wanted to share the capabilities of the model. But in the meantime, it's right here, so I can select which ones that I like. I think this one looks good, so I can make this part of our two-pager. Okay, now it's ready, so it might be a good idea to just download it as a PDF to be able to share this with our audience. But I forgot one thing, that was to make sure that everybody should be able to read it, even if they speak some other language. So what I'll do for that is I'll go to docs.new, where I'm opening a new document, and let's call it Spanish version. And I will leverage Gemini here, and I will say, because I need to translate that specific document, I just need to say that translate the document, all pages, into Spanish. So I'll say, please translate all pages of this. And here I can choose the name. This is the document which we just created in English, in Spanish. And at this
Hey,
time,
Bill.
it is taking, yes.
We might be on the wrong page.
Oh,
There
sorry.
you go. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So within this Google Doc, created a new doc, and I said, just take the reference of this document, which you can do by using @, and then give that reference of that doc. And it came back to me with the translation of that 2-3 notebook pager. If I want to tweak it, I can do back and forth. Otherwise, I can insert it in my doc. And now I have the Spanish version ready too. So we got 2-3 pager in English, Spanish, but now we need to convert that into audio and video as well. So let's do a new chat and click on files. And I think we downloaded this document in PDF. So I'll open it. And because it's an audio, it's a PDF document, it recognizes and gives me an option to generate audio overview. So I'll click on that. And now Gemini is converting this 2-pager or 3-pager into an audio overview. In the meantime, it gets it done for us. Let's handle another user persona, which is, pretty visual, which is video. And for that, you can leverage Google Vids. I will create a new by clicking on or going to vids.new. And here I can create a new video. Okay. And essentially, I will say I have a prompt, which I will just copy and paste, which is pretty simple. We are saying we're rolling out Notebook LM for our users. Please create an educational and engaging video based on, and this is based on what? The document that we just created with the help of Gemini. Click on next, and it's understanding the context from the document. It will suggest some of the scenes which it will use on that video. We can, of course, delete the ones, edit the ones. Otherwise, we can click next, select the template. So for example, I'll go with this one and click create the draft. And at this time, it's working its magic to create a video. And hopefully it works out. And you might be amazed looking at the default draft that it creates. I have made no changes yet, and I will simply click on play and you will see the video.
Introducing Notebook LM, your AI-powered research and writing assistant. Get ready to supercharge your workflow. With Notebook LM, you can work smarter and faster with your documents. Think of it as a virtual research assistant that
So it created that script, and I understand the Cyber Monday wasn't a good fit here. And that's why this works just like as a Google document, where you can make changes, you can, insert shapes and recording, and you can leverage stock media, etc. And wherever you need to collaborate, for example, this is a video where I want my manager to put his or her own video. I can click comment and I can say, let's say, please look at this specific document, and I can assign that specific task. So this is how you can collaborate with video. Either you can share the video itself, or if you want to export, you can export that into your Google Drive or as an MP4. So that's now we have multiple formatted content. So we have the Spanish and English version of these documents and PDFs. We created video, and Gemini also
Ever
gave
feel like
us the
drowning in
audio.
data? Reports, articles, notes.
Yeah.
All those docs you got to get through and really, truly understand.
Yeah, know that feeling.
Well, today we're
Right. So now, if we come back to this, as IT professionals, we took a one step further, moving from operational part of just turning on some features to the strategic trajectory, where we are making sure that our investments into the specific software is leveraged well. Okay. So now let's change the gears a bit and move towards a bit more day-to-day IT, which we do as IT professionals, which is more towards asset tracking and device compliance and operational reporting, and transform that into something strategic, which will have an impact. let's do this transformation with the help of Gemini. Okay, so let me close some of the tabs just a second. And let me share this tab with you. So I have this device inventory and feedback sheet. Okay, which is essentially just a basic, device reporting, which has username, email, department, which laptop model are they using, what was the purchase date, their operating system patch, whether it's a company-owned device, their user rating for this device, and some user feedback to give us more context. Okay, now as soon as I loaded this Google Sheet, you might have seen this analyze my data, which is proactively offering me an option to get insight. So let me click on that and see what happens there. So it's reading the context, understanding it, and will give us, the insights of these heavy Google Sheet. Okay, so it understood, it gives me context, but I want to take it one step further, because my idea is not to just act as a basic IT professional and just stick with it. I want to take it one step further and ask it to analyze the correlation between how happy and productive these users are based on the devices that they're using, such as company-owned or person-owned. Okay, so I'll ask it this, and hopefully it will just understand the context and let me get rid of typing complex formulas to fetch that information and give me that contextually. Okay, and because I told it that I will be also needing some rationale and recommendations, because maybe I need to present this document to my IT executives to prove my point that these devices, if given, or then users would be better productive and happy with it. Okay, so it gives me some rationale and some recommendations as well. Okay, now it says, people were happy with company-owned device. So, but that sounds true, at least on the basis of the sheet. Not sure in real life, but let's also ask it to come up with some charts, because my IT executives would love to see something visual instead of reading the whole bunch of text. In the meantime, what I can do is I can copy and paste these analyses and take it to my Google Doc. So I'll share this tab, go to docs.new, okay, and I have this ready. And now I can go back to my sheet where I've asked it to, make it some visual by adding charts so that I can display this to my IT executives. If I like these charts, I can insert in this sheet itself, or maybe I can take them back and add them to my sheet. So essentially what you're seeing here is that I took the basic spreadsheet, which just talked about some data, which is metadata of how we are managing devices, and took a different approach, which is pretty strategic. And now I can go back to my management and say, well, I think based on the data that we can make an informed decision to have more company-owned devices, because this is what we have observed and gain insights via Gemini, that people are more happy using their personal, not company-owned devices when getting their things done, and they can be more productive this way. Okay, now let's switch the gears a bit, and let's go to our final demo of day that might be relevant in case if you are a Google Workspace administrator. Okay, and this is based on a true story of a customer that we work with. So, and here again, we are taking that same approach of from operational to strategic role expansion of technology professionals. So this customer, their IT executives used to ask for a report every Monday on how many users they have in Google Workspace, how many of them are active versus suspended, how many have MFA or 2SV enrolled, when was their last login, etc. And this admin used to go every Monday in Google Workspace admin console, get the report, then it will be shared with those executives. But with Gemini, we took it to the strategic side and leverage app script with Gemini wrote. So let me share this tab, and I will go to Gemini again, and I will just ask it to write an app script. Okay, and I'm saying you're an app expert, because it can be any sort of expert. I need to just reassure that it's an app script expert, and I'm expecting a report which gives me all of this information. Nothing fancy here, just giving it more context. Okay, and I'm saying please cover every small details, because I have pretty limited understanding of code, so primarily I'll be just copy pasting your code. And I also want it to be automated so that it automatically updates every morning at 7 a.m. and I'll click on submit. Okay. Now I do understand when you work with code or other complex tasks, it may be that it will come back at first step and give you everything that you need. In some cases, you might need to do some back and forth, but rest assured, if you give it enough context, it will deliver the results that you would be happy with. Okay, so it's understanding the concepts, and it is telling me what to do, and it started writing the code for me. Okay. In the meantime, I can share this tab, and let's call it sheets.new, and let's call it, I think we have enough time left to complete this demo. This is the last one, so I'll say Gemini automation, and let's see, it is asking me that I should go and open the script editor, enable the admin directory API, and then paste this specific script. Okay, and it wrote that script. So what I'll do now is I'll copy that script, and then it says enable trigger, etc. So I'll go back to my sheet here, and based on its direction, I'll go to extensions, app scripts, and it said copy and paste this script. So I'll remove the existing script and paste the one that Gemini gave me. And just like a good developer, it also added comments so that I can split and understand it. It says sheet name is equal to workspace users. So I'll copy that, go back to my Google Sheet and rename it to this. Okay, and now I will share the script tab. Let's give it a title, maybe export users daily. And now I have everything done, and it says go to services and enable admin directory API. So I'll do that. Click on add. And now I will save the script, and I'll click on run. And it will say review permissions, because this is the first time I'm running it, and it opens a pop-up which you might not see, where essentially I'm just granting access and continuing. And this project requires access to your group. Please try again. Okay, let's see. Okay, review permissions. Select my account. Continue. Okay, so now it started fetching users. It says fetched 500 users on this page. Successfully wrote to the sheet. Okay, so now I will go to my Google Sheet. Okay, and how do I share this? Oh, sorry, am I not sharing? Oh, sorry. So when did it happen? Okay, so let me share this tab. So I ran the script and I gave it a permission needed. So it ran and it fetched all those users. And as you see in the sheet, it did put everything that I asked for in the sheet. So email, Argonet, MFA, the user status. But I also asked it to make it automated for me. So it runs every morning at 7 a.m. and it gave me an instructions saying go to triggers. So I'll go to triggers here, and I will then create a new trigger, and I will say run this function, time driven, and run it every day, and run it at 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Okay, and notify me right away in case if something goes wrong, and I'll click on save. So now, if you look at the old or work where I was doing this every morning, investing 15-20 minutes of my time doing all of this manually, versus leveraging Gemini, making it automated so that it happens every morning, 7 a.m. by itself. And of course, I can take it further. I can add more fields to it. I can add visualization, and then I can add those charts and sheets on Google site, and then share that with my executives so that at every given time, my executives would be able to just learn and understand the pulse of our Google Workspace ecosystem. It doesn't have to be manual. So I know it was like a quick rundown, but hopefully you might have got an idea on how IT's expanded role towards strategic can be helped with using Gemini in your day-to-day. So with that, I think before I hand it over back to Evan, I just wanted to see if we have the deep research came back. Okay, and it did. As you see, the research, it's a pretty long document because it is supposed to be, it's deep research, where I wanted to ask, cover every possible thing about Notebook LM, what it can do, benefits, how our users can use it in their day-to-day, and it came back with this document. And of course, I can now, and as you see it at tables, and it leveraged a lot of resources, including Reddit, maybe just to understand how people are using Notebook LM, and it came back with this document. I can do back and forth to tweak it. Otherwise, I can take it to Google Docs and do further collaboration with our legal, marketing, etc., and roll it out to our audience. So we are set to not just turn on and off these features, but also to make sure that our users are ready to and equipped to be more productive. And for Google Workspace administrators here, as you know, you can go to generative AI and you can look at any of the applications such as Gemini app, and you can turn that on and off based on the organizational units. And you can also do that for Gemini within Google Workspace, and you can also turn on and off Notebook LM. I'm not saying that you should turn it off, just saying that you have control. It's an amazing tool. Notebook, not yet, but Gemini app and Gemini for Workspace is now FedRAMP compliant. So you should be good to turn it on and roll it for your organization users. So with that, I'll hand it over to Evan to see if we have any questions, which we can answer in the last 5 minutes or so.
Awesome. Thank you, Goldie. And yes, lots of applause for you. Really appreciate all those demos today. Lots of valuable tips and tricks. So we're going to address the Q&A based on popularity, and we're just going to go into that in there. So if anyone has any questions that they want to ask, feel free to go. Again, it's in the bottom right hand of the screen. It's a little triangle, square, and circle icon, and just please input your question there so that we can save it and we don't forget to answer it in case we do not get to it today. Okay, so Goldie, the first question is, are the prompts entered by government employees vulnerable to a public information request? Are they saved somewhere?
That's a great question. So today, you leverage Gemini in 3 ways. One, in Notebook LM, if that's what you're using, no, they are not retained as of today. Second, if you're using Gemini within Google Workspace, such as the side panels in Gmail and Docs, that's not retained today. But if you're using Gemini app, which is gemini.google.com, then yes, as of today, your prompt and Gemini responses are retained for 18 months. And within those 18 months, your Google Workspace admin can leverage it for e-discovery. Now, it really depends on your organization policy, but our general recommendation is that when you are leveraging any enterprise resource, whether it's Gemini or something else, just assume that it would be available to your organization.
Perfect. Thank you, Goldie. And I did link the using Vault to search for the Gemini app for any IT administrators out there, Vault administrators who may want to look into that a little bit more. Okay, the next question is, understand our data is our data, but is the data we enter into Gemini exposed to or able to be accessed by other members of our internal organization?
Great question. By default, no. Just think of it as a Google Doc. So if you create a Google Doc, unless you explicitly share it with somebody, that other person will not have access to it. And that stands true for Gemini as well. Yeah, so it's not by default shared with anybody. And as per the contract, Gemini, no models are trained based on your interaction with Gemini, and it is not reviewed by human beings.
Thank you, Goldie. And something I like to say about that as well is that access follows the user. So if you don't have access to it, neither does Gemini. All right. The next question is, my office has concern over protecting personally identifiable information, PII, and personal health information. Where can I get more information to give assurances that my shared information is my information?
Great question. So we have built some blatant controls in Gemini. So if you straight away go to Gemini and say, well, here is my password or my social security number, it will not accept it. It will tell you that this is confidential information. But if you talk about organizational control level, Gemini will only access what you're giving it access to. So if you have a document that's you only have, let's say you do not have downloading rights to it, or maybe if that document is encrypted with client-side encryption functionality, Gemini will not have access to it. So there are some blatant controls that are available from Google side, and as part of shared responsibility, on the other side, you decide what Gemini would be able to access.
Awesome, thank you, Goldie. And as another member of our the team here pointed out, we do have the Privacy Hub as well that you can reference. You can take a look at our terms of service and our privacy policy to fully understand all the legalese that goes into how we protect your data as well. All right, next question. Is it possible to enable Gemini in Google Chat as well?
Gemini is part of Google Chat already. My understanding is that you are asking whether it's turned on and off, and if that's the case, then yes. If your Google administrator just goes to Gemini for Google Workspace section, there is a specific on/off button which he or she can click to make Chat Gemini available in Google Chat. So yes.
Thank you. Next question, is Notebook LM part of FedRAMP?
Not yet.
Thank you. Next question, how much information is sent to Google when we click provide feedback? Just information from the specific prompt or the entire conversation?
That's a great question, and because it's a bit sensitive question and it needs some more details on. So what Evan and I can do is, when we maybe send the deck and the recording, we can add a link to our Privacy Hub, which has a specific section on what's collected when you submit feedback and how it is treated.
Perfect. We will do that. Okay, next question. Is there an easy way to add a reference to the AI version that was used to generate the material? We are required to disclose if certain percentages of work products use generative AI.
A great question. I'm not aware of any such feature yet, but Evan and I can take this to the product team and raise an internal feature request for this.
Perfect. Next question. Can you add a global input filter to our Gemini instance that would block or reject certain data from being entered, such as social security numbers, credit card, passport, etc.?
Sure, not within Gemini, but when, your objective usually with Gemini is to act as an assistant and give you that content. And when you take that content and put those in resources like Gmail or Google Drive, Sheet, or Slide, then those DLP features or policies that you have in place, they do apply on that. But within Gemini, as I said, there are some blatant controls, but not like within Gemini, a global filter, not yet.
Yep, and so similarly to how we follow the user with data permissions, we also follow your DLP rules set for your organization. So that will continue to apply, and if your organization doesn't have DLP rules set up today, then this is a perfect opportunity to get those set up. All right, let me make sure we got some last minute votes. I'm gonna try to miss any questions. Okay, this is an amazing lesson to learn. Just wondering, will there be any additional training sessions scheduled? Additionally, is there a recording available for those who are unable to attend the previous training? I can take this one. Absolutely, we are going to have at least 2 more that are scheduled, and we are hoping to have even more based on the turnout that we saw today. This is so exciting and very promising. So we will definitely share those with folks who attended today. In addition to the recording, will definitely be shared. All right, well, that is all the time that we have today. We are at 1 minute over, so any questions that were not answered, I will absolutely send a follow-up and we will answer these questions for you all. We had a lot of last minute questions that flowed in, so we will definitely address these for you guys. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. Really appreciate your participation and looking forward to our next sessions with you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.